Cash Cow back with another video. Today we're gonna do something different. This is, I like to title this Collector, Investor, Hybrid. And I'll explain to you guys what I mean by that as we go on along with the video. Basically kind of summarizes the way, not majority, but for the really steady investor, comic lover, how they think, how we think. Apologies. If we're really deep into it like that. Okay, so first one is Collector. Marvel Spotlight #5, first appearance of Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze. You have a few Ghost Riders. You got like maybe 3 or 4 of them all together. These are comics that they're always valuable. No matter if it's a movie out, TV show, if they gone dormant, if the movie wasn't good, if the TV show wasn't good, they're still valuable. They hold value because it's harder to get them, and you're gonna have to pay a decent amount of money for the most part. Like comics like that, you're gonna have to pay a decent amount of money to get them. But it doesn't matter if it's a 1.5 or 4.0. You're just happy to have the comic. At the end of the day, it's all about eye appeal. So if it's, for the most part, if you're planning to ever collect anything or sell anything, you typically want it in the best condition as possible. Now with Collector, for the most part, to the person that really wants the comic, it doesn't matter if it's missing a staple or they may be a chip on the corner, or these are legacy comics. These are comics that you like to read. You want to keep them in your vault or wherever you store them. And that's the ones you pass on, or the ones you read to your kids, or you leave your kids, or whoever is important to you as a loved one. These are the ones that's the ones, if you want to start really building your collection, these are your franchise players. That's the ones that really take your collection to the next level, and you're like, man, I got the first appearance of Ghost Rider. Can't take that from me. Especially now because it's actually gone up in value, because it's been speculation that either he's gonna appear, and it might not be Johnny Blaze version of Ghost Rider. It might actually be Danny Ketch, which is another one. But the fact that Ghost Rider's out, people are still gonna know that this is the first one. You can't duplicate being first. It's always the first in comic book world matters. You can have a different version of the character, and yeah, that may be popular, but the one that was the bookend, that was the first one, it's gonna see a spike in sales too. Now with this one, even though they might actually do a different Ghost Rider, or they might do this one and that Ghost Rider, or whatever, whichever Ghost Rider they decide to go with. The thing is, Ghost Rider is so much of an intricate character because, like, he's more of like a underworld character, and as the phases continue to go further and further, you're gonna see more of the Blades. You're gonna see the Mephistos. You're gonna see the Ghost Riders. You're gonna see like the demons, the underworld, the vampires, the ghouls, and all of that crazy mess, right? This guy is basically riding on a motorcycle. He came straight from hell. So, if you don't see him in Doctor Strange, hey, eventually I got Blade coming. It's been confirmed that they're gonna try to make a Midnight Suns. He's part of that team. So if they don't introduce him in the Blade the movie, you got to think that eventually he's going to get introduced in a TV series of Midnight Suns. You're going to see him. But this comic is, if even if he doesn't appear, this comic will still be valued because people are going to speculate that, okay, Ghost Rider is a very important character. It's only a matter of time before he appears, which drives the price up. People continue to buy it. And they usually stockpile it because it's more of an expensive comic to obtain, which is the reason why it's in my personal collection. I don't plan on selling it. Hear me again when I say that. I do not plan on selling it unless I have quite a few more multiple copies of it or I find a higher grade. I was so happy when I got this. And I was like, first appearance, and I nailed it. And I'm like, yes, decent condition, pretty much sharp to me. Other people may have a better version. Hey, that's fine. But this one is my copy. Just saying. That's your personal collection. That's if you're a collector. Those are the comics that you build your roster around. Next, we got an investor. Tales of Suspense number 50, the first appearance of the Mandarin. Now, everybody know the Mandarin is actually going to be in Shang-Chi, which is actually set to premiere, I think, the 3rd of September, so maybe this Friday, I think. I think it's this Friday. This is more of a, okay, Mandarin is an iconic villain. Don't take that away from him. But how long is he going to stay around? There was already speculation that he was supposed to appear in Iron Man 2, but when they finally appeared, when they finally showed who the Mandarin was, it wasn't who you thought it was, and people was like, oh, come on, like, Mandarin's an iconic villain that you're like, how did they not have him face Iron Man? Like, Iron Man and Mandarin, they go hand to hand, neck and neck. Like, what are you doing? But now we see that they're going to have it where he fights Shang-Chi. Now with investing, it's more of a get the best grade you can possible and wait for the time is right to sell it. I'm not going to tell you when. It's different variables for that. You can wait till you see the first trailer, or you can wait till the movie comes out, and if people like the movie, then they're like, oh man, I gotta buy that comic. It's different ways how you can do it. But you invest on you try to buy low and then sell when it's absolutely at its highest to where people want it. That's where the research comes in, and like buying the comic when nobody wants it or they're not really focused on it. So that way you don't have to spend as much. So when it's time to sell it, you make a profit. You make a very nice, decent, good profit, depending on the grade. The higher the grade, the more you'll make. Always remember that. Like, if you're able to buy a high grade, and that's why I say if you're buying the comic when it's low in value, then you're not going to really spend what the person's going to spend maybe a year or two from now, and they're actually paying an arm and a leg for it where you didn't have to. That's the key to investing. Buy low, sell high, and that's with anything. So with those are the comics. Like, yes, you keep them protected because the higher the grade, the better it is. But now I'm saying be careful, because no investment is guaranteed. He can be put in the movie and don't do well. It also can drop. Well, comic books are stock, so they can be down one day, shoot up the next day. It's the luck of the draw. So it's like you want to spend the least amount on it, with it being an investing. Personal collection doesn't matter because you want the comic book no matter what. So whatever you're willing to spend on it, that's all that matters. You want that comic book for yourself. It doesn't matter if it's a movie out or nothing. The cover's iconic, the character's iconic. You just want that comic book. Investor, you're thinking, okay, the market's gonna be here. This or they're confirmed this character is gonna appear, so it's only a matter of time before they drop him in there, and you have to strike while the iron's hot. Now, hybrid. This is the Next Men Part 3. It's the first cover appearance of Hellboy. Cover appearance. Now you have the first U.S. appearance of Hellboy, which is San Diego Comic-Con's number 2, which I actually have. Of course, got that graded. That as well can be something you can look, try to get it, hold on to it. Maybe one day if you want to sell it, you can move it. If not, hey, you still have the first U.S. appearance of Hellboy, first cover appearance of Hellboy. It always matters, guys. Like, it matters. And see, with that one, that was a 7.5. So it's a decent grade to where majority of people may want it. Who knows if the company they used, did they get the comic pressed, or did they, like, you don't know. Lots of times a pressing can actually bump up the grade as well. Now, when I say hybrid, it's more of a person that, hey, I like this character. I may keep the comic book. I may not keep the comic book. But it's to actually continue to build your collection. So I always separate my comic collection in these 3 categories: personal, investing, hybrid. That's how I do it. That's how I've always did it, and that's how I'm going to continue to do it. It's been actually very successful for me. So why should I stop now with it? Now, like I said, you got to be careful, and you got to make sure you're storing these comic books in the right way. You're not leaving them sitting on each other to where they can overlap at times the wrong way. Try to get it to where you can put multiple bags and boards. You can get decent covers for them. You can keep them out of where it would be excessive moisture, so don't put it by a heater, or don't put it by a fan. Or you gotta understand, at the end of the day, this is still paper, and these are old paper. You have comic books this is like 1960 something, so you're talking about a 60, almost 70-year-old book. Maybe 60 or 70, pretty much like a 50 to 60-year-old comic book. You got to take care of them. Same with this one. This is more modern, like 1992. Well, no, this is a Next Men number 21, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe that. We'll see. But no matter what, they all play an important role. All of them. That's your collection. What are you doing this for if you're not going to take care of it? Doesn't matter if this is my personal collection and I want to flip this one. I'm going to take care of this one just like I would this one. Now, this one may mean a little bit more, has more of a sentimental value, which is why it's harder for me to part ways with it. Which is why I tell you guys, if you can, buy multiple copies. If you can't, buy multiple copies of investment comics or hybrid comics. That way, hey, this character just got hot, I'll sell this one. You don't have to get rid of that one because you got other comics you can lean on to sell or trade or do whatever you want with them. They're basically currency. Some of them have sentimental value. some are currency, and some are just waiting for the time the market's getting hot. You know that it's only a matter of time before they appear. And then between that time, the person that's truly smart and they have their ground to the ear, their ear to the ground, is still paying attention. They're still looking for this comic, and they're like, hey, nobody's really wanting this. I can rack up on as many of these as I can right now. And then a month later it gets confirmed, and next thing you know, this comic is over $1,000, and you're like, whoa. And it happens that quick. Because you gotta think, like, the older the comic, the harder it's gonna be to obtain it. They're not gonna reprint the same comic. So they may reprint it, it'll be a reprinted version, but this is the original version. How many of those do you think are floating around? They're not like in the millions print number like it is now today. You had some that have flood damage. They've been burned up. Somebody may have been salty at you and cut it, or like any of that crazy stuff can happen. So it's a supply and demand. So say if you only have 100,000 of these around, and how many millions and billions and trillions of people you got in the world, that's going to make it very harder to obtain it, which is why that's in my personal collection. Same with this one. This one's just as old too. So that's my video for today. Kind of summarizing how I break down my collection. If you guys do yours, hey, comment on it. Let me know how you guys do your collection. Maybe you do it the same way. Maybe you break it down in a whole different way. The same game, just different ball players. But to me, it's fun. I enjoy it. I love looking at my personal collection. I'm like, I had first prints of that, first prints of that. I read that one, that was good. I read this one, I read that. Oh man, I remember that time I bought this one for $10, and then you turn around and you're like, man, I'm glad I paid attention, and now you're able to sell it for a few $100s, and you're like, yes. Now, don't get me wrong, you have some horror stories. There'll be times where you can sell a comic book before it's really ready to go. It happens. You have seller's regret. If you stay in this long enough, you will have seller's regret. So just have fun with it. Yeah, just have fun with it. Remember, at the end of the day, that you can't take them with you, and you can't. Yes, you can use it to do what you need to do as far as finances, if that ever comes to a possibility. But these are collector's items. They increase in value. It's like people say, guns and butter. This is guns. These increase in value. They can like have a slight dip, but they still maintain a value. They have a resale value to them. It's still considered artwork. And that's how you gotta look at it. That nice fancy pair of shoes you're wearing, if you're able to sell that for the same price, God bless you. You'll break even. These, if you invest in them in the right time, you're gonna do more than break even. You're gonna make a hell of a profit. But you have to be willing to sit long term and understand, hey, don't take this serious. You're going to have some times where you fail. It's part of learning. Trust me, I've been there. But the times that you win, you're like, that's why. And it's always the thrill of the hunt. It's like, okay, I want that comic in my collection. What do I need to do to get that comic? And you're constantly watching, and you're seeing people make deals, and you're seeing this, and you're like, okay, it's only a matter of time. Just be patient. And then when you get it, you're like, yes. So it's a euphoric feeling that only other comic book collectors will understand. They will understand it. It's the thrill of the hunt. So with that being said, thank you guys for your time. Be safe out there. Go check out Shang-Chi if you can. Got a feeling that's gonna be awesome, man. That's gonna be awesome. It's Cash Cow with another video. I'm out.